All right.
So,
All right.
so I had to laugh because I'm pretty open and live in a very diverse culture down here, and I love all humans. Did it seem weird when he's like the first black speaker to present himself on stage? I was thinking to myself, huh? Was that weird for you?
Well, I don't know if I say it's weird because it wasn't weird because he had told me that
Okay, I was kind of thinking that's a little
when
odd.
he first invited me. He mentioned that to me. He said, "Alan, I got to let you know you're going to be the first black speaker we've ever had." He said we've had a couple of non-Caucasian speakers, but they were one was Asian and the other was Middle Eastern. Now he said I wasn't the first one invited. There was actually a guy named Ed Lattimore
Never heard of him.
who they had invited to speak, but he had a schedule conflict.
Okay,
But
interesting.
so anyway, yeah, he had told me a few weeks ahead of time, so that's why I did.
I
But
was just,
if that would have been my first time hearing it, yeah, it would have blew me away.
yeah. It kind of blew me away, and I don't get thrown off very often. But I was like, that's kind of funny because I don't know, I got a twisted sense of humor and shit like that. But man enough to bring it up. But we'll just kind of start there. I was just curious. I'll cut that out, man, because I was just curious because I was like,
No, you can leave it in if you
all
want
right,
to.
cool.
Yeah.
Last night it's weird, man, because I have a couple girls staying here, and her and her boyfriend are staying down, and she's a Indian girl. She looks Mexican to me. But you were having the conversation. She kept on bringing up, and I thought she was fucking with me. And she's like, "Well," I said, "I have to go down to Mexico tomorrow. I'm getting a bunch of blood work done because I got some twisted experiments that I always do." And she's like, "Well, you're probably going to get to the front of the line with your white privilege." And I was like, "Did she fucking? Are you fucking with it?" She said it again. I was thinking, I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, what do I say? Like, that's just. I'm like, I just ignored it. But I was thinking that's kind of weird with with all the weird shit that's going on right now with people. I was like, should I be offended? Should I be like, what the fuck
Now,
are you
did she
talking about?
express it in a lighthearted manner, or was she like dead serious when she expressed it?
It was kind of like nonchalant, like it's a white privilege thing, and you probably get across the board. I was like, I ain't got any white privilege. I've worked my motherfucking ass off and I've done a lot of cool shit for people. I go, if anything, you're privileged right now to get a privilege of my white privilege because you're staying here for free. that's, that's what I was thinking, but I was just kind of throwing off for it. I'm like, I've hooked you up plenty of times. You used to pay rent to me because I had another place. She was my tenant. I go, you used to pay rent every month on the 15th. That's stripper privilege.
Exactly.
But I was just thinking,
Exactly.
man, because I always like to come together with people that are, like it's funny, like comedians. Like I was a stage hypnotist for like 3 years, so you've been up on stage. I see that you've been on the Oprah Winfrey show. You've been on the Steve Harvey show. Is there something that comedians get, like people that are up on stage that can kind of see the bigger picture, where they don't really buy into the bullshit of the propaganda of what's going on in society? Do you see a certain value of the comedian? I mean, the comedians these days are a little too politicized for me, but just good, see the world as it is type of comedians. I mean, do you think that's important to keep that mentality and be laughable to a degree?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you heard my presentation at the 21 convention, I before I started doing dating coaching full time, my last 9 to 5 job was I was a program coordinator for a mentoring group. And honestly, and I think some other black men are like this, but I'm probably 2 to 3 times harder on men of my own race than I ever have been, from somebody outside my race because there's a lot of black men who are tempted to use their race as an excuse. You mentioned the term working hard. And I hate when another black man I'm talking to will use that as an excuse for being lazy or use that as an excuse for being irresponsible. The white man is holding me down. I'm like, ain't no white man coming to your crib and preventing you from showing up to work on time.
No, I love that when
Don't-
you said that. And by the way, you're the besides Johnny parts of it, you're the only speaker that I stayed and watched just because of I was like, okay, I know we're doing the same thing, but I really enjoyed your talk, and we'll tie back into it a little bit. But I was like, when you said those kind of things, I was like, all right, cool. Like there's a bigger picture because this isn't just about men teaching other men skills to find love, find traction, find sex, find lifestyle in their life. There's
Mhm.
a bigger thing going on, especially since I call it leveling up. When they're like, "Well, how old are you?" I go, "You mean, like I'm level 45, you're level 22." I don't really buy into the age thing. But when you said that, I was thinking, okay, this what we're doing on stage is a lot bigger to be much more well formed than a lot of people look at what we do as like, oh, you're just teaching guys tricks, or you're just
Exactly.
teaching how to be. So when you said that, I was like, all right, cool, because there's a lot of things you said that, and the no man gets a free pass, like those are concepts that when you said, I was like, right on, man. And I was just and your presentation was great, man. Funny across the board, the I guess the stories, there's lots of stuff. So like I said, I'm kind of ADD when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I hear stuff that I want to expand on, so we can pop back to it. But when you said that about like black folk, white folk, there is no free pass.
Yeah, and I think the thing that gives me an interesting perspective as a dating coach is that I've worked probably with at least a handful of guys of every race, ethnicity, background, and you end up seeing, I mentioned this actually in one of my books. I said that, like, again, like there's some black men who think they have it harder in today's dating scene than men of other races. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, there's a guy I go back and forth on YouTube with. He's a black male YouTube host, and all his podcasts center around how fucked up black women are and how fucked up black men have it. And he almost implies that white men have it easy with women, Asian men have it easy with women, Hispanic men have it easy with women. I'm like, that's not true. Because I talk to men of all race. Every man has their challenges out here in today's dating scene. It ain't a race-specific thing. There might be some subtle differences, in the race, but there's a lot of men I work with that have their set of challenges with women in general, and more specifically, women within their own race. For example, a lot of Middle Eastern clients I've had, one of their challenges is that if you come from like India specifically, they have a caste system. Like I had one client, he got thrown in jail, man, for hitting on a woman that was considered above his class. And I was just like, damn.
Yeah. That's why I need to take a trip out to India, because I get a lot of Indian students as well, and their culture, they're so repressed sexually. And obviously living in America, we have a different society. So, like a lot of it is like, well, I got to go over there and almost see it, because like what you're saying doesn't resonate with me. I can give you the basics as far as like, okay, these are the mindsets, this are the techniques, hey, these are the unuseful beliefs that you're using. But some of those societies are just, man, they're just super repressed as far as what I see.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I can't. Matter of fact, that's why a lot of them, the guys I have talked to, specifically again from India, that's what they say motivate them to come to the United States, is because they can't deal with how things are set up there. Like, they still have prearranged marriages where you really don't get to know your wife until the day you marry her, man. I can't even imagine that. I can't fathom that type of shit.
It's like Russian roulette. You don't know what you're getting, man. Oh, cool. Look at that. I got that, Furby. You know what I mean? So you don't know what you're getting. That's such a great gift. Thanks, man. Wow, for the rest of your life. What do you think? Because I saw you posted something on Hefner, and I'm trying to bring this conversation, compared to what most guys talk about, to more of a general conversation. Hefner obviously, passed away last week. Well, I think while we were at was it when we were at the convention? I think. Or
yeah, it was actually the day of. I think it was the first day, that Thursday.
Yeah.
No, it's probably that Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, early Thursday. Yeah.
And it's been split down the middle. You got your feminazis and they're bashing them, and then you got your men that are like, hey man, this is stuff that men are interested in. How did he inspire you? What do you think about his legacy as far as how he influenced millions and millions of people in that revel? Whether it's you got your, like I said, you got your male misogynistic guys and you got your feminazis on the equal, right across from each other. But then you have most men that are like, this is what we're interested in. We're pretty simple to a degree, and we enjoy these things. So my philosophy is God put beautiful women there and made us attractive to them. So yeah, cool. This is what I was grown up, and I'm sure you were grown up as well.
Yeah, Hefner was one of my earliest influences, because I don't want to out my late father, but my father, he had this stash of Playboys underneath his bed when we were little. Me and my brother were little. So I found him one day, and of course, me and my brother just initially just wanted to look at the nude pictures of the women. That was probably like when I was in the, I don't know, fourth, fifth grade. And then as I got a little older, I started really studying him as an individual and came to respect him. And I would say he, number one, contributed to the sexual revolution in this country. He took a lot of the taboo out of discussing sex openly and straightforwardly, and related to one of my archetypes. If you heard my presentation, one of my women female archetypes is what I call the wholesome pretender, which is the woman that publicly will present herself as the prudish, innocent, wholesome, good girl, but privately she has a more kinky side and even a more promiscuous and or polyamorous side. And when I'm reading about Hef, he said that was his idea behind the centerfold. He didn't want, for lack of a better term, skanky women as a centerfold. He wanted to show that the all-American girl next door also has a naughty side to her. And I think he was revolutionary in presenting that image. And it's funny, though, how society has changed so much. You mentioned the feminazis. I call them femisandras, for a combination of feminists and misandras. But there was a time when both men and women equally used to hail Hefner and his achievements. But I noticed when he passed away, man, there's a lot of women, man, that treat him like he was the devil incarnate or something, man. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, this man has such an impact on society, man, and how we just view sexuality. And it saddens me to see these people, and particularly these women, man, just going after him like he contributed to the worsening of society or something. Even some of my old Facebook friends, I had like 2 or 3 women I went to high school with posted when I put the thread up. They were like, "Oh, he was immoral. He was a whore. I don't even see why people are saddened by his death." And I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah. But I understand that because obviously I've run strip clubs for almost 25 years, and I literally have a pole. I have a nice party room and jacuzzis and a sauna. So to me, I always consider it a San Diego little mini mansion. Although it's not a mansion, it's Spring Valley. So it's Spring
I
Valley.
know Spring Valley. My brother used to live in Spring
Yeah.
Valley.
So I live in Spring Valley. I am the minority in Spring Valley, but it's funny because I throw the parties, and I've seen parties get crazy. Like and over the years, I tend to let everyone else kind of do their thing, and I'm more specific these days. But when I read some of the stories about him, I'm like, yeah, that happens. Like, okay, there are wild things that go on, and maybe one person's like looking at it, going, "Oh my God, there's." There's like 3 girls on top of each other, and I can see how it can get twisted, as far as people's opinions, because I've gone back to work before and got yelled at by my boss because he's like, "Hey, I heard people were partying at the house, the girls didn't make it to work, and this person said there was people doing drugs, and it turns into," and I'm like, everyone was having a good time. Everyone left super happy. Like, I don't know where it came from, whether it's a friend of a friend or if it's a guy who didn't get laid or whatever it is. It's just that narrative that plays out there, that it's immoral, that it's that drugs, sex, rock and roll is bad. When it's all, to me, it's really a form of moderation. If you do it all the time, yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm down to maybe a couple times a year, if that, these days. I was like once
Mm-hmm.
a month in my heyday, but that was really it. Because if you don't have that balance, you're not going to be able to live that lifestyle very long. I don't care who you are, but at least you understand that it gives people that freedom to kind of express themselves. Like in my house, it's a completely safe environment. So there's that. I was able to do that. I was able to find a place where I was able to do that, express myself, because a lot of people do the things that they secretly fantasize doing, and then
Mm-hmm.
they almost feel like there's a freedom. And that's why I was saying when I was talking on stages, there's a certain freedom when you go into the basement and you get it all out, and you hit this level of age or maturity when you're like, you know what? I did good. Like I got into the basement. I got it all out. I had the experiences that I did. I pushed myself. I got my fair share of rejections. but it's out of my system now to that degree, which I think could be unhealthy because I see a lot of people, which is kind of scary, is when I see people that are repressed that never really live it. These are to me the late age stage pedophiles that do the things because they've never really reached down into their sexuality. They've repressed it, and then all of a sudden, they're late phase in life, they're like, now I have to get it, or I have these emotions, and it just boom, it explodes. So to me, it's an unhealthy thing compared to getting it out of your system, having a place that it's safe to do it, have the experiences, realize that for the most part, it's a novelty to a degree and a fantasy, and you got to do it, and so it satisfies that fantasy in your mind. Do you understand where I'm going with that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. I do think you need to be adventurous and experimental in some phase of your life. Because, how do I want to say it? I think some of the most, matter of fact, I learned this when I took a human sexuality class in college, that our professor was saying that some of the most pervert people who do just really heinous, super perverted shit is not the people that are considered, free spirited and open minded and uninhibited, but it's people who were brought up usually in some really religious family, or they were taught to suppress their sexuality. And when you try to suppress it for so long, it's like taking, I don't know if this is the best analogy, but it's like a water hose. When you bend it and then you straighten it back up, it comes out, the water comes out with that much more force.
Yeah.
And I feel that happens with sexuality. When you try to suppress it, I think you need, an outlet for your most profound sexual desires and interests. So I totally co-sign with what you said. Now I got to tease you, Hypnotica, because you were mentioning multiple women. Do you ever take a picture with just you and one woman? Because I've never seen you in a picture with just you and one. There's always you and at least two women, if not three women.
I try. I try not to take pictures at all. I mean, I'll post it. I only really post photos with women when I'm out on the town. I'm going out, which is these days, which is pretty rare, because
Okay.
I tend not to, like, if you go through, you don't see a lot of like stage photos because a lot of guys on Facebook, you see them, and I went off on it for a time, so I've seen it lessen more and more. That guys, they put their validation on, like, look, I'm standing with a girl, and they're all proud, and it's like they put that as their profile photo. So I tend not to do that, but I don't really tend to be around women one on one too often, and yeah, man,
Okay.
it's kind of like the lifestyle that I've gone after, and me personally, like a lot of people think, oh, multiple women. In my reality, I really prefer the one-on-one. I like
Mm-hmm.
I like the variation, but to me, there's nothing more intimate than a one-on-one with a person because you open up, you have ideas, and and just having it that way. So a lot of people think, oh, well, it's always this part. No, man, it's good one-on-one is awesome. And I've even had other women like, well, can I come with you guys? I go, no. I would go only because of the reason that she's going to talk about certain things that are intimate, and there's a certain level. I'll talk about intimate things with you as well, but sometimes, when other women get around other women, they don't open up as much. So I mean, it's one of those
That's
things. But
true. That's true.
yeah, and a lot of women don't trust other women. That's the other crazy thing with multiple relationships is, women sometimes use what another woman says to get leverage on them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very picky about that. And yeah, I wish I took more photos. I guess with women, I guess it's fun going out and doing that. But I made it a conscious decision of myself that I'm not going to be one of those guys that are like, here I'm kissing this girl, and here I'm kissing this girl, and here it's like, to me, it's adolescent, and it's so weird, man. It's so weird to think like this because those phases in life are coming, but it's like, it's just you just give up wanting the validation or wanting the attention, which when I grew up, I mean, that was a lot of the programming is, who you are is, you're successful, you have women, and that could come a little bit from the playboy mentality, but we're evolving through it and we're figuring it out, and to me it's all about education. And now that we're more educated, we're having conversations like this, like, and I try to tell the guys at the seminars, I'm like, look, man, do you realize how far ahead you guys are from when we started? Because I didn't have any mentors. There was like
Mm-hmm.
one book. I didn't have internet. All I had was just raw experience, and I had to fumble and trip and be creative. I said, now,
Mm-hmm.
like, you have guys, and that's when I started the seminar. I said, it's really nice to see guys out there. They have the dress on, They look like they're in shape. There's a higher level of thinking because they're taking it seriously. And I go, what
Mhm.
took me 20 something years, or I don't know how long it took you, but now we're getting it where if you find the true uh, teachers, and I consider you a teacher, Zan, Brent,
Mhm.
myself, the guys that have been around for years and years and years. I'm like, study these guys as the basics, guys. The foundation. They're all masters in what they do. But if you start here, man, it would take us 20 years is only going to take you two,
Exactly.
maybe to 4 years, and you're going to be way further beyond where I am. I can't keep up with a 17-year-old kid. I tell girls all the time, I got to choose my comes wisely because the refractory period. Once I go, it's not like I'm 17 anymore. I'm like, you young kids, man, you can bounce back like one of those rubber balls you bounce down. I said, but that's the whole point is you guys are in such a better place now to understand women, and women better pick it up too because these guys are getting pretty smart with manipulation and with about marriage and things like this, and a lot of the women being I guess watching the Kardashians, they're getting a pretty distorted view of what a woman is, and especially being in the strip club for so long. I talk to so many guys that don't even want to date, and this is bad to say. Well, it's a harsh reality. A lot of men
Mhm.
don't even like American women anymore. They like the Eastern Europeans. They like the women from
Mhm.
Thailand, the Philippines, because these women have that certain sense of femininity, of nurturing that they want to take care of their man. And I think when that balances out, it's a perfect combination. When the women are so money hungry and they lose their softness and it goes into a masculine hardness and it's all about the money,
Mhm.
man, it's ugly to me. I have one girl. She was, in my opinion, she was the most physically appealing woman that I've ever worked with. And I
Mhm.
watched this transition come in where she was soft, and then she started making the money, and she started becoming hard. And then she started just saying like it's all about the money, it's all about the money, and her personality and that essence, that feminine essence,
Mhm.
is gone. And now I just look at her like yuck. And so like that's a thing that not only men are getting better, hopefully the women are getting better and not harder. If that says, I even said in one of my YouTube videos, I'd like, if a woman can't cook, dump her, just get rid of her. I said because if she don't know how to cook and you don't know how to cook, you're going to start eating fast food. You're going to poison your kid. You're not going to have any good essence. You're going to spend a lot of extra money. I go, that's not a good basic foundation of having a mom. Like you don't want your mom teaching that shit. So yeah, man, there's all kinds of things that are going on right now that can be fixed, but we're in a great place to do it and discuss these ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
What did you think?
Yeah, I have a lot of.
Oh, go on.
I was just going to quickly say I have a lot of clients that echo those sentiments about they they look at now American or as some would say westernized women as being the lowest on the totem pole, and so they encourage traveling to other countries to find their female companions because they some of them feel like American women and westernized women are beyond repair, which is sad that that's the indictment on women today, but it is what it is.
Yeah. What about you? I mean, as far as because I know you teach a lot of the bondage stuff and the pickup stuff. Like, do you have what is your perfect um, ideal of a woman, which would be healthy, not a perfect ideal? What do you think is a healthy balance as far as guys saying, hey, this is what I would look for. I know it's kind of customizing it a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell like a kid that doesn't know? He thinks, oh, this is normal. Like, in your experience, I think you're 56, right?
54.
54. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're going at different levels. I'm 45, so it's like I have my generation, you have your generation. We're still active in interested in this, teaching the guys. But what do you think is that fine balance?
Well, one of the things I do actually is with women. I have a few women clients, and what a lot of them come to me. I have primarily 2 to 3 clients that come to me on the female end. One is women who either through self-examination themselves realize that they're too prudish, or they've had a recent boyfriend or spouse tell them that. So I kind of work with them to feel more comfortable opening up with their sexuality. Another large group would be women who have also either recognized on their own or had a male companion tell them that they're just way too alpha, way too defiant, way too unnecessarily argumentative and antagonistic. And so
That's the big one I found is it's too argumentative and antagonistic and like I said, cold and calculated.
hmm
Yeah.
So I basically I take them through some what I would call intensive training sessions, where essentially I train them to be more submissive and to get rid of these ineffective attitudes and beliefs they have of men being the enemy. And what I make them realize is that for a woman, femininity and submissiveness in its own way is a form of power. A lot of women look at that as being representative of weakness or representing them being a doormat, which is not true. That's their form of power. So I'm like, you need to embrace your femininity and your submissive spirit, not fight against it.
Yeah.
That's in DNA.
It's funny that you say that because women that are, I don't like to say submissive is such a misleading word. Uh, like it just, I don't know. There's got to be a better. I mean, I'll create a word with it. But I tend to do more and have more respect for women that understand. Like I'm a man. I like to lead. I like to do things. And it's really choosing your team wisely. It's saying this is a good balance because when I get people that are argumentative, me personally, I tend to like, it's that's not what I want. But when I have a submissive woman who's working and we're working together as a team, man, I'll bend over backwards for. I have more respect and admiration for a woman who can do that and still have her own life, but understand when I'm making the lead or I'm making a command decision or I'm doing stuff that there's a time where the balance is okay, cool, we're going to support you in this, not give a man a hard time, which obviously that's a big issue with women is the controlling men and men following around and male bashing and you're not man enough and there's a lot to it. But me, I think the feminine, I guess submissive woman to a degree is I think probably the most powerful archetype next to like a collie archetype, the woman who's just the warrior. That's got its own place too. But
Mm-hmm.
me being hard, it's like two hearts go together. Just it doesn't really happen too well.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
That's what I tell women all the time. Hey, man, is that, yeah, man, you can't when you got an alpha male and an alpha female and two people, you can't have two people who want to both lead the relationship in a relationship. That will never work long term. It will just never work. I mean, that's why I always tell people, if you notice in our political system or in the armed services, they have it inherent in there. Like you would never have two co-presidents or two co-governors or two co-mayors. That would never work. Somebody has to be the deputy mayor and the lieutenant governor and the vice president, because somebody has to be considered the ultimate final decision maker, the ultimate leader. And to me, it's the same with romantic relationships, man. Somebody has to be the one that's the leader. Now, there are some men nowadays, particularly, teach their own, but there's a lot of men, they want to be the submissive one in a relationship with a woman. And I see this on message boards and stuff, and it trips me out because I personally can't relate to it. Yeah. But there's a lot of men that's what they want. They want to be a woman. Basically, they want to be a woman's bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I trip, man. When I'm in, like, I have things that make me twitch, and when I'm in like Walmart, I'll be going through Walmart. There's that, there's that white trash side of me. I'll be going through Walmart, and I'll be watching a guy pushing a cart, and the woman's like, "Get over here, we're doing," and I just twitch. I'm just like, that reality is so far away from where I'm at. I'm just like, I look at the dude, and I just start like, man, I can't. I just have to get away from it because I'm like, I can't even be around this. This is
exactly. You and I are just alike in that regard. Oh my God.
It's crazy, and on another level, what do you think the future of pickup dating, enhancing men's skills are, since there is a huge foundation now of really good speakers and teachers that are doing it? How do you see this? Do you see it evolving? Do you see it getting more precision based? Where do you see the future of where everything's going as far as being an expert in what you do?
Well, I think it's going to, I think for the guys who are what I would refer to as legitimate, I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think it can be long lasting. I don't see it as a fad. Now, I think by now, the vast majority of the charlatans and just the pure snake oil salesmen that were out there have had to hang up their shingle, and they've gotten exposed. Um, but I think the guys who have profound knowledge, wisdom, and insight to offer, like you were mentioning earlier, guys like you and myself, it ain't like we just grabbed on the one thing and tried to sell it. I mean, we accumulated years
Yeah.
of knowledge and wisdom from dealing with women over a lengthy period of time, and that's, to me, that's valuable knowledge and wisdom that's being shared. Now, the argument I've heard from certain people is that, oh, Alan, MGTOW, men going their own way is a movement that has grown and is going to continue to grow, and it's going to put all you dating coaches and pickup artists out of business because men are fed up with women. They don't want to. Some of them don't even want to interact with women at all anymore. And what clients is that going to leave you? And I just fire back that that's, as long as you have heterosexual men with a decently healthy libido, men are always going to want to exchange orgasms with women.
Yeah.
Whether it's long term, short term, monogamous, non monogamous, you just gonna always have guys. And as long as you have those guys like us will be needed. So I don't see there ever being a period where just 19 out of 20 guys in society are like, we're just gonna fuck robots,
Yeah.
and I don't see that.
Yeah, masculinity to me will never go out of style. It ain't gonna happen as far as that goes. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. And a lot of guys say that too, and I'm like, look, it may not be the younger generation. Now it's the older generation, more masculine guys. I'm getting a lot. Like, to me, it's always, what am I learning from it? What is the experimentation? How can I get curious? Because being that I'm not so, you got to be a high level intellectual woman with a good heart and good spirit for me to even be like, oh, cool. But I'm not starting to notice a lot of these men that are coming, like the clients that I get a lot are now the middle-aged men who've been in divorces, have no clue what's going on in the dating scene, don't even know where to start, have been beat up maybe for the last 20 years. And so there's that level. And there's also a level of what I consider is, when I decide to go completely gray, is I thought, okay, I'm going to this level of being more mature. How is that going to affect dating someone younger? And it blew my mind, like literally, and maybe you've had the same experience, but I want to tell guys, hey, the more mature you get and the more grounded you are and the more sexually skilled you are, really the palette opens up. So I'm dating, it's really weird. I never thought this would happen. I'm dating younger, much more cool, beautiful women, on an emotional level, on a physical level. I'm attracting that into my life more as I get older,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
which was shocking to me, because I was thinking, oh shit, here comes the grays, just let it go, and boom, it's like a man who's well versed and skilled and intellectual, and grounded and sexual. He attracts everything. Have you run into that as well?
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I think there's something to be said about us seasoned veterans that yeah, I think a lot of, like, I have older male clients who allow their insecurities to get the best of them, but I'm like, hey, embrace your maturity for all the reasons you stated, because women can pick up on that. Women can, and a lot of women have that. What's I want to call it? That I don't know if I want to call it the daddy figure phenomenon, but a lot of younger women don't want to be around silly, immature guys.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, and a lot of these younger guys, I don't want to generalize them too much, but some of these guys, they don't know what the fuck they doing in bed, man.
Yeah.
Compared to older guys. So, yeah, man, I mean, I've experienced the same thing. Yeah, I get a lot of rhythm from women who are 10, 15, 20 plus years younger than me.
Yeah. The funny thing is that they all, to me, say the same thing. Maybe, collaborating here, we can agree. The women that are younger that want to hang out, is they're more motivated. They more want a faster learning. They more want a grounded man, because it helps them, I think, ground out and feel secure. Because one of the things that I know that a lot of the women that I hang out with is, they always say the same thing. Like, when I'm around you, everything seems like it's okay. Everything's safe because of my mindset and the ability to reframe situations in their life. be strong with it. Whereas a young kid, he's not going to have that experience to see through all the bullshit and the red tape and cut it straight with the sword and just give him the the harsh reality, but from a positive point of view. I think a lot of that's what I personally experience is a lot of women seeking that type of not only sexuality but just
Hmm.
manliness. And I think there's
Yeah.
just not that
Hmm.
manliness that is out there. Like women will come over and just say, "Can I just lay with you and put their head on my chest?" And it just grounds them out. It's like they say it like recharges them, and whether it's sexual or not sexual, then they get up and they're good to go. And they
Hmm.
don't have to deal with all
Hmm.
these young kids that are I don't know, blinded by the testosterone.
You hit a key point, man. Is that in many ways, man, I almost feel like masculinity in its traditional form, man, is not only being attacked and being referred to many times as toxic masculinity, but it's among the younger generations, and at the risk of generalizing, a lot of guys who are brought up by single mothers, man, it's like it's slowly but surely fading away
Yeah.
to the point where I can see maybe 20, 30 years down the line or so that you're gonna have a lot of guys, man, with this semi effeminate nature to them, man, that just have no backbone whatsoever, man, and it makes me cringe to think about it.
One of the things that I got recently is this term microaggression. Have you heard this with a lot of the
Yeah.
feminists?
Mhm.
And I'm having a normal conversation, but I'm talking about because a lot of people don't understand. Men are men, women are women. So we're going to talk about certain things. So if I'm talking about, hey, I got a bunch of pussy, it goes, oh, that's microaggression. No, man, because I hang out with strippers, I hear them talking about getting dick all the time. They talk the exact same way, in a
Mhm.
setting. So,
Yep.
but it's this term of almost shaming men for their sexuality, calling it, oh, microaggression. You're talking about her tits. And I just go, well, tell me about a lesbian. Is she a pig too? Because I know lots of lesbians. Lots of lesbians are my friends. We got the same thing in common. They talk just like this as well. I love going to lesbian bars because it's amazing because you always have the masculine female and then you have the submissive female, no matter where. So it's just like watching men, but watching women, and it's so cool to see that palette. But when the women start saying, "Oh, it's microaggression. Oh, you shouldn't be talking like this. It's because you secretly hate women." I'm just like, it's complete 100% bullshit. And that's why I'm trying
It
to get to the
is.
guys. Don't listen to this because they have an opinion. That opinion don't mean dick. Usually, the people that
Mhm.
have opinion on sexuality are the people that have never had the fantasies or put themselves in the situations where they get to, like what we talked about, free that sexual nature and be okay with it. Because people that I know that are 100% healthy on the sexual level, they're the ones that
Mhm.
are going out there having the ideas. They're the ones talking about, I got dick last night. I got fucked in the ass last night by this big hairy stud. And
Uh,
and, and I listen to it. I laugh. I think it's great. I don't shame it, but it's one of those things that I want to tell a lot of guys out there is don't buy into the microaggression feministic movement bullshit at all. Unless you're a
it,
misogynistic asshole, then that's that.
yeah, yeah, because you notice, man, in my opinion, most of the women, man, who throw out these terms, microaggression and toxic masculinity, they ain't getting no dick on a regular basis.
No, they're
They're
miserable.
sexually frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any woman who's sexually content and satisfied that is that judgmental and tries to target men with this shaming language. It's like you said, it's total bullshit, man. And at times I try to ignore these women of that nature, but as society goes on, man, it's becoming harder and harder
Yeah.
to ignore these femisandries because they becoming more outspoken, in some respects more influential, and yeah.
Well, it's these conversations here that have that underground because, like you said, and we can wrap it up. I want to have the communication with you because I think this is going to go a lot of places. A lot of people see it, but men are getting fucking better, stronger, more intellectual, more with a lot of our teachings and stuff like this. And it was like I said when I went to that seminar, I was proud to look out there and say, "All right, cool." Because that whole game, I mean, when the game came out, I
Mhm.
know that you were probably speaking on stages, and sometimes following some of those guys that were on stage, I was embarrassed to even go up there afterwards because of the stupid shit that they were spewing and wanting to be this pickup artist of the year and the greatest pickup artist. And man, I was really glad that there was guys that were grounded, a few of them that were steering it kind of back into this masculine direction compared to this whole peacocking kind of feministic viewpoint about not being straightforward, which will actually tie into one of the work that you do, the mode one, is we talked about the direct versus indirect.
Hmm.
And so obviously, I'm not a big fan of Jeffries. We've never really got along on that level. But when he asked that question, I'm thinking, I don't really think so, man. I can honestly say that 95% of the interactions that I've had with women were straight up direct,
Oh yeah.
and the ones that weren't was me kind of just sitting back because I could tell she's feeling me out, and so I wasn't pushing too hard because obviously there's polarity responders out there. Um, but yeah, man, it was like straight on about the directness and why the directness works.
Yeah, I just have never been into, as I think I said in one of my responses during the question and answer session, I've never been into trying to get laid by pretending that you're not trying to get laid. I think that is the dumbest thing in the world for men to do. And I've been kind of shocked sometimes at how many guys, I'm not gonna call guys out by name, but there's been a few PUAs slash dating coaches that have gone after me and told their followers that being direct is dating suicide and all you're doing is hurting yourself. And I had a guy get on stage one time and call it just stupid. And here's one of the biggest ones I hear that I vehemently disagree with. A couple guys try to suggest the only women you're going to get by being direct is women who do nothing but engage in one night stands with every man they meet. That's totally not true.
Yeah,
At
false.
least that hasn't been my experience at all. That is totally not true, and that has been the experience of my clients. I've seduced a lot of what I would call quality women, women who with other guys they would have made them wait for weeks or months before opening up their legs. That they like the authenticity combined with the confidence and masculinity that I presented to them, and it caused them to connect with me,
Yeah,
fairly quickly. And I mean, because the thing about it, man, women have a radar. They know when a man is full of shit,
yeah, for sure.
And like I said at the seminar, for most women, it's not like the objective of being verbally direct is that women don't know you want to fuck them. 9 out of every 10 women you interact with, they know deep down if they're reasonably attractive and reasonably sexy, they know you want to fuck them.
Yeah,
But my thing is, I want to cut through the bullshit real quick. I don't want to play the cat and mouse and song and dance games. I want to say, hey, look, I'm not talking to you right now, so we can talk about the history of dogs who were born in Japan for 45 minutes. I want to let you know that I find you attractive and I'm looking to be intimate with you. Let's take it from there.
yeah. No, it's good stuff. I tell guys, I say, you want to know what a woman, how it feels to be a woman, to be able to sense or ping when a guy's trying to hit on them. I tell guys, I go into a gay bar. Go into a gay bar, because you walk into a gay bar, and if you're a fairly attractive man, it's like a complete mirror to the other side, where you see the guys hitting, and you already know this motherfucker's got his intentions. You got his intentions. He's got his intentions. He may be walking up, and he's walking up, and you're thinking, no, this guy, I'm not putting no dick in my ass or anything like this. Like, and it puts you on. I mean, if you're hetero, it'll put you on ultra fucking pay attention mode. You know what I mean? Because you're like, I ain't slipping here. Not at all. But it's a good thing to see that level of like, oh, here it comes. Oh, this guy had this angle. Oh, this guy's trying to be the smooth suave guy. This guy's trying to pretend like he's looking for his friend. It's hilarious to do that. I don't recommend going too often, but often enough where you can just go, damn, like I'm projecting that much. It's just one of those things. But that's the nature of the I guess the dance of men and women and all that kind of stuff. Just to kind of keep it short, because I want to put it out there. I'm going to put it to my list and stuff like that. Why don't you tell
Okay.
my list? Specifically what what you specialize in and how to get a hold of you. And I can, like I said, guys, like I can tell there's who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't. And I wouldn't even have that. Matter of fact, you got one of your Aloha shirts. I wore the Aloha shirt from Johnny today, and there's only a select amount of guys that have it. They have the Alpha Man. That he's about the what is it?
Aloha man.
Yeah, the competition. And the Aloha Man is the man who doesn't need the competition. He does his own thing on his own time. And I think there's I know Zan's got one, Brent's got one, I got one. Now you got one. Steve
Yeah,
Got
I
one.
feel honored, man. I've been indoctrinated in the inner circle.
Well,
And,
it's cool. We want to we kind of want to show another way of being. Like alpha does not mean alpha. As far as that goes, it's not about control. It's not about dominating. Alpha men are the most generous, helping men that are out there. It's not about I'm taking this from you, but so that's why we came up with the Aloha Man. He's just like, man, I got it down, and there's only a select group, but that's why I was like, I'll wear it to remind him that you got indoctrinated in the Aloha Man regime of rocking and rolling, I guess, with life.
yeah, it's real cool, man. Like I said, I was really honored when he gave me the Aloha shirt, and but yeah, what I do for your listeners, I have some books available on Amazon.com, and I have four different audiobook versions of my books on the division of Amazon that specializes in their you call it their audiobook division, audible.com. And I would say my main specialty is helping men just generally improve their verbal communication skills, how confidently they express their desires, interests, and intentions to women, how provocatively straightforward they express their desires, interests, and intentions to women, the body language they have while they're interfacing with women of interest. I work with men on something as simple as improving powerful, direct eye contact, the quality and tone of their voice while they're speaking to women. And another thing is helping men read subtle, both overt and subtle body language signs that women give off. And finally, I help men identify what I refer to as manipulative head games that the more manipulative type women will try to employ with men. And so my main website is Direct Approach Dating, as one word, directapproachdating.com.
Cool. All right, guys. With that, man, I wanted to come together just to show that there's a lot of really cool things that when other dating coaches get together, there's great conversations that can happen. We could probably talk all day, but I want to introduce you, if you haven't become aware of them, Mode 1, Alan Roger Currie. And with that, we'll see you soon. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you for having me, Hypnotica. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. Take care, buddy.